Today's talk with your host Reggie B. Come on, let's all join in. Free your voice, it's your choice, alright here. Oh, Simply Stray Talk.
Greetings to all our listeners. It's your friendly girl Shelby, and I'm here to tell you about today's topic, disowning your family. All families have degrees of dysfunction, but what happens when dysfunction turns into hate and eventually total abandonment of those you once loved and called family? Now I wonder, why is this becoming a growing trend? Is it a generational thing? Well, Reggie may have some answers. Take it away, Reggie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Simply Straight Talk. This is your host, Reggie, and today we're going to be talking about disowning family members. Now, I don't know if you are aware, but there seems to be a serious growing trend of people who have made the decision that they want absolutely nothing to do with their family members. They choose their friends over their family. Now, what causes people to do this? What makes a person say that my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, my aunt, my uncle, I want nothing to do with you. I want you in no part of my life whatsoever. Now, that becomes a very, very, very serious question because you got to realize something, that there's the old saying that blood is thicker than water. But you will find today, especially if you're a big social media person, and even if you go on YouTube, there are so many people that are putting out videos and memes that are being very clear that blood is not thicker than water. People are actually saying that they prefer their friends over their family. And many people are saying that they absolutely just limit their interactions with their family member. Now, we all know that family is supposed to be the tightest bond, the closest bond, but something has happened over the years to where that's just really changing. Now, there are some families who do maintain that family dynamic of getting together, bonding together, being there for each other, but for some of us, well, that's just not the case. There is no such thing as a family bond. It's more families stay away. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss some of the reasons that people actually feel like they need to distance themselves or completely become separated from their family. Now, one of the reasons that I noticed that a lot of people say they want nothing to do with their family is conflicting religious views and values. Now, because what's going to happen is you might have a family that's believes in God, and where the child coming up says, I don't believe in God. Or you may have a child that believes in God and the family doesn't believe in God. And they don't know how to balance it. They don't know how to accept the fact that, they believe, I don't. They don't, try to get a person time to maybe see if this is just a phase, just a moment. But religious values can really have an impact on a family, especially if you have a family that is deeply rooted in their religious values. Then they're going to expect their children to actually adopt these same values. So religious values play a very, very, very important role in some family dynamics. And also that's the reason that some family members have actually just separated, have no communication whatsoever. The next thing is lifestyle change. Yes. Because today, there's a big movement as far as transsexuals, gays, and lesbians. And I did a show about this a little while ago when I was actually speaking on when a person does decide that they're going to come out and they feel that they're a woman in a man's body or a man's in a woman's body, or if you got a person that's in transition, breaking this to the family for some people has really, really caused where, you got fathers who want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with their sons. You got mothers who want nothing to do with their daughters. They won't hear of it. The whole fact that, this is still your child is just out of the window. So yeah, lifestyle changes such as that will affect a relationship and cause some people to just totally disown the other person. Another reason that some people really get into, which really causes a problem is when you got someone in the family who feels like My family has not supported my dreams. They have not supported my goals or ambitions, but they watch them support other people. So when you have that happen, it can make a person feel like, wow, you don't care about me. You never supported anything I did. You don't support my business. You don't support my book. And you will be really surprised at how many people who have written a book. And when you say, if you post it on Facebook and your own family members won't say, hey, look, my child wrote a book, read the book, share it. You know, whether they like the book or not, what the person wants is for them to show support. You know, hey, my child just wrote a book, check it out. You know, so people don't get that. Or I'm starting a business, come to my restaurant. And sometimes that could be because of jealousy. You know, some people are just jealous. They see you doing something that they wanted to do and didn't do. And they sort of get in their feelings about it. But when someone feels like their family doesn't support their dreams and goals, but their friends do, hey, that's another reason they may say, you know what? I don't need you, family, because my friends seem to be more supportive and more caring than you are. Another reason is lack of emotional support or criticism of a person during their childhood. You know, as parents raising kids, you know, everybody has their own style, their own way of raising kids. Some people are very, you know, there when it comes to emotional support. You know, they're very supportive. They're very, you know, hey, encouraging their child to do different things and explore things in their life. They explore new opportunities, you know, explore their talents. Well, you got some parents that just are not emotionally there for their kids. You know, you got some parents, like I know for a fact, you got parents that have said, you know, I wish you was never born. You know, my mother said that, you know, so it's just things that parents can say to a child that can affect a child all the way to their adult stages in life, to where they don't let that stuff go. When you tell a child you'll never be nothing, you're worthless, oh, you're a horrible child, oh, I'm so sick of you, you make me sick, get away from me, I can't stand you, why can't you be like this? Stuff like that does affect a child. And it affects that child to where you will start hearing them say when they get older, as soon as I can move out, I am gone. And some kids, you know, like me, I joined the military and nobody knew. I was just gone. So, you know, it's just, you can have that effect on kids to where you can say things to make a child feel like, I can't wait to get out of this house. And when I do get out of this house, trust me, you will never hear from me again. And you have that type of, you know, mentality in kids based on the fact that they was criticized most of their childhood. They didn't have a parent that was emotionally there. They didn't really express concern. You know, some parents just get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and trying to provide, you know, that they just have a hard time balancing that, which is, you know, it's not an excuse, but it's just the reality of what it is. They can't balance the two and they just get overwhelmed. Next thing is, we used to have what was called Big Mama, okay? And the father of the family, the man of the family. You know, Big Mama was the one that was always cooking and having everybody come over. And, you know, when you had that real male who was the head of the household, you know, for the family, all the family looked up to him. He's the one that kind of kept everything in line. He kept everybody in line, you know, and then you had Big Mama, who also kept everybody in line. And these was normally like the grandfathers and grandmothers of the families. You know, they sort of set the tone. But as they begin to age and they pass away, it's sort of like that torch of family unity is gone. You know, you used to have a Big Mamas that was like, listen, don't you ever talk about your daddy like that. Or, you know what, that's your husband. You know, you be respectful. You need to be at home with your family. You don't need to be running the streets. And, you know, you had that big father who was like, listen, you're a husband now. You need to take care of your family. You need to man up, be a man. So we don't have those male and female leaderships in our families anymore because the older generation had values that pretty much have become non-existent in today's families. Because I can tell you, you know, Willie Mae Hollis, that was my great-grandmother. When she passed away, the family dynamic for our family changed. It really did change. Because every Sunday, she had the entire family come to the house and eat. There was no discussion about it. You came to the house and eat. Kids, go outside and play. She was all about getting the family together and just enjoying each other's company. And she maintained order because, my great grandfather passed away years ago, but she kept it going. So, but when she passed away, you could tell the family dynamic changed because there was no more get-togethers. Me and my cousin Teddy was always close, but me and my other cousins, just everything just became distant. Then after a while, nobody was talking or calling or hearing from anybody. So we've lost that elder in our families who brought the order and maintain the traditional values of family. Now, some families still have that because somebody in the family picked up that mantle and carried it and made sure that it still goes on. But for some families, in my case, hey, it just seemed to fade away, and it's hard to get that back once it's lost. Now, here's something that everybody is talking about today. It seems to be a big problem, but sometimes in a family, there is a traumatic event. It could be sexual abuse, verbal or physical abuse towards a child, or, someone in the family to where maybe this person held it in. They didn't tell anybody. They never mentioned it to anybody. Or maybe they did tell somebody and nobody believed them. Maybe it was a sister who knew something was going on with her other sister, but she never spoke up for her, never defended her. It could be a brother to where he knew that his brother was being touched by this person. This woman could have been touching him, and he never spoke up or tried to defend his brother. And as they got older, that resentment started to kick in because nobody believed him. Nobody so he felt like he couldn't trust his brother who should have been there. The parents didn't believe him. So all of this stuff kind of ties in. It's the same thing with a young lady. Maybe she was sexually or physical or verbally abused, and when a person goes through that, it can be very challenging to tell anybody, especially as a child, because you're scared. But it also comes to the fact that, you feel like my brother, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, somebody should have stepped in and had my back. Somebody should have protected me, and there was no protection there. So as that person gets older, there will be a change in their personality, a change in their mentality, or you might notice that when something happens, you probably say, "Oh, I got you." And they kind of look at you crazy, or they make a smart comment and you don't understand why it happened. But a lot of times people will block out these things. They want to forget it. Hey, we're older now. Just let it go. It didn't happen. But the person it happened to is like, it's not that easy. You were not the one being touched. You was not the one being beaten with a belt or a hose or a stick or a broom. You was not the one being punched. You was not the one being forced to lay down, forced to do this or do that. So you can't tell me just let it go because you should have protected me. You supposed to be my sister. You supposed to be my aunt, my uncle, my mother, and you were not there. So traumatic events like that can really affect a person, especially if it was never addressed, if it was never brought out and they've been holding it in for years. A man or woman can hold that in for years and end up not getting any closure or healing. Now, especially for men. Now, I know people say women. Let me tell you something about men. As a man, we will hold stuff in about things that happen to us, especially if we consider that it is embarrassing or affects our manhood. We will hold it in, not tell anyone about it, but it will change the way we treat certain people or act around certain people or the way we carry ourselves, even our beliefs. So don't think that men are not subject to the same stress and hurt and pain that anybody else come in, because men are raped, men are physically abused, men are verbally abused. So it happens. It happens. Now, when people disown their family, it's to the point to where something has brought about a change in their life to where they just decided that they want to cut ties. They feel like there is no going back. There is no correction. There is no fixing this. And when this happens, it's really sad because you're losing out on a very important part of your life, and you're losing out on very important people. in your life. So this is something that you just don't want to take lightly. And you don't want this to be the first option on the table. Okay. You don't want it to be, because you don't ever want to say that I disowned you and left you. And then when that person passes away, you have all this unfinished stuff going on in your head. You don't want that. You don't want that. All right, guys, y'all keep it tuned right here on the Simply Straight Talk Show. I know this topic seems a little bit down, but we're going to turn it up, because you know what? When we come back, we're going to talk about some solutions and tips on how to start the healing process. All right, y'all keep it locked in right here on the Simply Straight Talk Show.
You're listening to Simply Straight Talk.
Viaging is a company based on life's journey and sharing life lessons with the world in the form of laughter and reflection, inspiring people to go after their dreams and not giving up on life. Viaging creates inspirational music and motivational speeches designed to motivate all age groups. Visit our website at www.rmviaging.com to hear samples of our music. You will also find motivational articles on our blog page titled New Life, New Mind blog. We also have a weekly podcast hosted by Reggie called Simply Straight Talk, all on our website at www.rmviaging.com.
Free your mind, free your voice right here on Simply Straight Talk.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the second half of the Simply Straight Talk Show. And today we are talking about what happens when a person disowns their family, or simply just disowning your family or members of your family. You know, this has become such a growing trend, like we discussed earlier. And we listed some reasons why people feel like, I got to let my family go. Now, like I said, it could be different reasons. We listed some reasons earlier. And normally it's because a person has had something happen or something has occurred, whether it be financial, whether it be a traumatic event. You know, it's just something that has caused a person to say, I want nothing more to do with my family, or the family saying, we want nothing more to do with you because of lifestyle changes, personal matter. A lot of things can play into this. But what we want to do now is we want to pick it up a little bit. Now, we talked about the hurt and the pain and the feeling of being betrayed that can come from your family members, which makes a person feel like, I want nothing to do with you. Now, we're going to dig into the fact of, how can we start the healing process? How can we bring the love back and unite families once again? So that's what we're going to cover in these next few minutes here. So let's just go and kick it off. Okay. And I think the first thing we need to do is acknowledge the fact that when you are making a decision to disown your family, or you have disowned your family, I want to encourage you to make another effort. I know you probably made efforts before. I want to encourage you to step up one more time and try to resolve the issues. And here's some tips I got for you. First, allow the healing process to begin slowly. Don't try to rush it. Don't think that you're just going to have this one big powwow and everything is going to be perfect. Don't look at TV shows and say, you know what? This is what they did on the TV show, so let's do that, because it all worked out in this hour or 30-minute TV show. The truth of the matter is, when you see these TV shows that's dealing with family issues and working with people, I promise you, and I'm telling you right now, there is a lot of stuff that has already taken place prior to that show being aired. So there's a lot of communication. There's a lot of interaction that is taking place. So when they jump into these situations, it is not spur of the moment. Okay. So allow the healing process to begin slowly. And what you need to do too is take it slow, but you need to start exploring your own feelings. Okay. Start exploring what you are really feeling, why you feel the way you feel, and then look for a way to open the door to start the forgiveness process. Now, this is the first step. This is before you even approach the person. Explore your own feelings. Discern what you're feeling. Why are you feeling this way? And then explore the door for forgiveness. You need to do this before you go approaching anybody. Okay? So remember, the healing process needs to start slowly. Slowly. Okay? The next thing, control your temper and body language. You know, when people are talking or they're in the process of a conversation, one of the quickest ways for a situation to get out of control, one of the quickest ways for a person to shut down is the fact that when you start the conversation, the other person's face is all frowned up, you know, their arms are crossed, they're tapping on the table, they're fidgety. That's a sign of agitation. It's a sign of aggravation. Your facial expressions. You know, you can be saying, oh, I'm fine, let's continue the conversation. But your facial expression could be saying, I want to come across the table and smack the crap out of you. So that's why you need to make sure that you have control of your temper and your body language. Maintain a calm tone. And this is what I recommend. Consider doing a dry run of the conversation. You know, get a picture of the person. You have a picture, look at the picture and just talk to the person like you're talking to them and say how you feel. The picture will reflect emotions that might come up when you first see the picture. So when you get those emotions, you're not doing it in front of them. You're able to deal with it and address it right there, because I want you to videotape yourself talking to the picture. Okay, video yourself talking to the picture so you can go back and watch it. And I want you to pay attention. Listen to your voice when you start talking about certain things. Is your voice getting higher? Is it getting lower? Are you starting to lean forward or lean back? You know, are you starting to clench your fist? Are you hitting the table, tapping on something? So pay attention to your body language and your facial expressions and your voice fluctuations, because that can determine how the other person is going to react to your conversation. You want to go in calm, collected, but you want to be able to express yourself in a calm and, you know, in cordial manner. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to have an attitude. Okay. Now, here's what we've been building up to. Have the conversations and know that this is not a one-time fix all. You know, just start off slow with one conversation about one issue that you're having. Even if you have to get a piece of paper, write down the issues that you have with your family or a family member, and have them do the same thing. What is your issues? You both write down the issues and you talk about one thing at a time. And then at the bottom of that paper, you put down, what is it that you want to come out of these conversations? What do you want to accomplish? Do you want to be friends and family again? Do you want to hang out? Or do you just want to simply have the discussion, get it out there and just move forward, allow forgiveness to take place and put it all behind you? You got to have a clear objective of what you're trying to accomplish from a conversation. A lot of people have an issue with somebody. They get into a conversation, but they don't have an objective. It's just that they want to rant and vent and yell and fuss and be the last one to get the last word. And you know what happens? It ends up pushing both people away and the situation gets worse. So make sure you got control of your emotions, because you got to remember, when you have these conversations, there's going to be a lot of emotions. There's possibly going to be some resentment feelings. There's going to be the feeling of betrayal. And all this has to be addressed. Now, you might want to consider also having a family counselor or a minister. And I recommend that you choose someone who's not really tied to the family, so you don't have anybody who knows this person or knows that person. I think it's just better because you're getting a honest assessment of both people. Okay, so don't rule out a counselor or minister, you know, being a part of the process to help you both kind of move forward with this whole thing. Okay. Now, like I said, having the conversations, don't be ashamed. Write out your list. They write out theirs and you tackle it one at a time, calmly, collected. Okay. But be open to listening to each other, not hearing what you want them to say. Hear what they are saying and respond appropriately. Okay. And just allow each other to talk. Okay, don't be talking for 2 hours now, but be honest and open with each other. And the last thing I got is don't gossip about the conversation with other people. And I think that's the worst thing a lot of people do when they have an issue with somebody. And they say, you know what, we're just going to meet and we're going to sit down and talk. Well, they sit down and talk about it. Okay, and everything can seem to be going well. Then one person gets on social media, Instagram or Facebook, and start talking about, you know what, they had the nerve to say this when we was talking. I asked them why they did this and they said that, and I know that was stupid. And then, or they go back and tell a family member who goes back and tell the person, well, she said you seemed like you apologized, but she didn't really believe you, or, he felt like you was this. When you go back and somebody is opening up to you about, this is why I feel this way, this is what I think, this is my perception, and you go back and telling other people or posting it on social media, you are breaking the trust. You're breaking the trust of the conversation, and the conversation would never elevate beyond that point again, because when you have this initial conversation, it's basically a one-shot deal. So if you betray the trust of the conversation by going out and telling other people, how you felt about it, and that gets back to them, you basically started back at ground zero. That's why I say, don't go back, tell other people. If you do have an issue with what took place during the conversation, maintain your cool. Don't blow up. Take time, calm down. Once y'all leave, go home. Like I said, decipher your feelings, and then come back the next time you talk and say, hey, listen, I thought about what you said. I interpreted what you said this way. Can you kind of give me some clarification? So I want to make sure I'm not misunderstanding you. And that way, it's the two of you eliminating all the gossip and people who want to get involved that shouldn't be involved in the first place. Okay? All right. Listen, that is it for the second half. So we're going to come right back with my final thoughts on this topic. Don't give up on family, okay? Don't give up. And we'll be right back. And you are listening to the Simply Straight Talk Show.
Don't even think about it. We got more straight talk just for you.
Hey, are you looking for some great music, upbeat and with a positive voice? Well, the song I Stand With You is exactly what you need. This timeless song has a pop version sung by Audrey Carmel. And a reggae version sung by General Steele, now known as Revelation.
Now I know some days you may feel blue, Lord. Trust in your greatness to see you through.
These songs are now available on iTunes and other digital platforms for download. Don't miss out. Get your copy today.
We're back with the conversation starter and the voice that works harder. Your host, Reggie.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Simply Straight Talk Show. We are now at the final thoughts for today's topic, disowning your family. Now, we've had a lot of discussion today, and we brought up some reasons people do decide to disown their family, but we also brought some suggestions on ways to make it better. Now, I want to say this first. One of the worst things you can do, and people who have experienced this will tell you, is to live your life hating somebody, disliking somebody, having resentment and anger towards somebody, to cut them off, never talk to them again. Then a year or two or 6 months later, or however long it is, the time span between you talked, to come to find out that the last words you said to them were, I don't ever want to see you. I don't care about you. Don't ever talk to me again. You're not a part of my family. You're not a part of this family. I don't love you. I never did. When you say stuff like that, and it finally hits you that that was the last word you ever said to them, that is going to be the hardest thing for you to deal with when you get the news that that person has passed away or left this world to go to be with God. Now, you have to understand this too. If you're the person where someone has came to you and said, listen, I know we haven't gotten along. I know we got our differences between us, but I just want to work it out. I just want to find a way that we can at least be cordial and at least be, act like we're family when we're together. And if you're the person that says, I don't want to work it out, we'll never be family, don't come back, don't try to make up to me. When you say that, and it's the other way around, when that person dies, your last thoughts are going to be like, wow, I never knew they was going to be leaving the world this soon. And I was the one that told them, I don't want you in my life. And that's the last thing I ever said to them. That's the last thing they will ever remember about me, and I remember about them. So here's my point. I understand that families got issues. Trust me, my family got issues. We all have a dysfunctional part of our family. And it's very difficult sometimes to find that common ground because there are things in our history that sometimes we just can't forget, and it's very difficult to let go. But still, you have to find a way to forgive, and you have to find a way to at least try to bring peace to yourself and hopefully with the person that you're with. And you do that just by finding a way to open the windows for dialogue and at least come into an agreement like, look, we may not be the best of friends. We may not have or ever get the relationship we have. But at least when I see you at a family gathering, I can come to now. We can say hello and hi to each other. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about sports, and we're fine. You want to get to that point. It doesn't mean that we're going to be coming to each other's house, but it just means that we're going to put each other in a better place by being loving and forgiving each other, regardless of who was right, who was wrong. Now, I understand there are some situations, like I mentioned earlier, when you got traumatic events, that it's going to take a little more work. It's going to take a little more time. And, when you got family members that don't support you, you know what? Your success will speak for itself. Don't let anger and hatred and revenge be your way of saying, oh, I'm putting you in your place. No, live your life, live blessed, pray. But don't lose track of who you are as a person. Don't get so caught up in the ugly part of hatred that you yourself pass this on to your kids, pass this on to your nieces and nephews, because that is the worst thing to happen. Because I remember when my mom passed away, my niece and nephew wouldn't speak to me because of my two sisters. So all that type of stuff. You don't pass that type of spirit along or hatred or anger down to your kids. You want to stop it. Stop it. Stop that type of hatred in your family. And the way to stop it is the two people that have the issue and beef come together and find a way to make peace so you can build back what the elders try to give our family with family dynamics of love and tradition. Hey, this is the Simply Straight Talk. Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to join us next week. As always, it is a pleasure. I thank you for your support and I thank you for following us. I love you, Simply Straight Talk family.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Be sure to subscribe for more motivational topics based on real-life conversations, and don't forget to rate, review, and share our show so we can continue to bring you the best in real-life conversations. Join us next week right here on Simply Straight Talk.